Now we want to talk about the young guns that are coming, or the new stars, we'll say. They don't necessarily all need to be 19 or 20 years of age. Maybe this will be the first year that they really put their hands up and make an impact for their county. So let us know there in the comments, who do you think is going to be the star man this year for whatever given county? We're probably going to mostly stick to the Liam McCarthy teams for 2024. But if you want to add in somebody who's beyond the Liam McCarthy, please let us know. And that could be in either code. We're just going to do hurling today. Antrim, I'm assuming that Joey McLaughlin, the Cushendall corner forward, he just looks like a real live wire, real quality hurler. And when they're changing over their panel a lot, there's a good chance that he'll get serious game time this year. So Joey McLaughlin would be the one that stands out for me with Antrim straight away. And I know you like him too.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the likes of Joey and a few other lads as well, and maybe some names that we don't know particularly well yet, because there's five players have opted out. Neil McManus is retired, and Donal Nugent's not involved either. So there's a lot of boys going to get chances, maybe lads that have been playing maybe in the shadows the last couple of years, and I would expect McLaughlin to stake a bit of a claim. And just looking from a Carlow point of view then, he was a very young player, and lads mightn't have known much about him maybe before the McDonagh final, but Paddy Boland was exceptional in the McDonagh final. It was only awfully to move over their best defender in Ben Keneally to try and quench his threat. And in fairness, he did a good job on it. But Paddy Boland had nearly won 4, I think, by that stage. And he's a player that's only going to get better. Like we always talk about Marty Kavanagh and Chris Nolan and even John Mike Nolan are in around the Carlow attack, or at least from 8 up. Having another player, particularly going into the Leinster Championship this year, a player like Boland, who will surely only get better from last year, is going to be a big boost to them. So, yeah, Paddy Boland, is, from a Carlow point of view, is definitely a player to be keeping a close eye on this year.
Yeah, I was onto some of my moles around Carlow hurling, just some experts on the ground. And Kieran Whelan is somebody that, has been good with Mary Ide the last couple of years. Had a few injuries, but looked good against Wexford, and he could be a big addition this year. He's sort of a floating role, Tony Kelly-esque type role. Fiach O'Toole is another one that's been with the 20s. We actually had him with UCD a couple of years ago. He could be somebody to make a bit of an impact. Donna Murphy of Mount Leinster Rangers, he's been good with St. Kieran's College. Niall Bulger then with Bagenalstown Maynooth, key player in the under 20 team as well. So there's a number of players there with Carlow that could have an impact this year. Now, as I said, we're going to keep going through the counties. Let us know who we're missing out on. Another one worth talking about then, another county we're talking about, Clare. Dylan McMahon, we like him as a centre-back. He was very good with Clonlara.
Yeah, he played against Cork in the Munster League as well. Like, he's probably not like 18 or 19 or anything like that, but he's only kind of getting a go maybe at senior county level now. So, yeah, I'm always impressed with him with Clonlara, and even against Cork the last day. I thought at times in a team that was under pressure at different stages, I thought he was pretty solid. Now he's trying to break into a half back line that consists of Dermot Ryan, John Conlon, and probably David McInerney. So it's not going to be simple to break in. But we saw obviously a couple of years ago when Conlon was missing for that All-Ireland semi-final how badly missed he was. So even it could see the thing with these guys is now it might just be plugging a hole even for 10 minutes. In a game, in a big game, but it's just having a lad that's able to come in and fill one of those big spots and basically not weaken your hand at all. And I think the more game time he gets, the stronger influence he can have potentially in maybe not a starter this year, but in time potentially.
Yeah, the comments keep coming in. Will Galway launch young Nyland in 10 years ago? He'd have been thrown in. I'm not sure, is he eligible just yet?
No, he's not eligible. He's only just out a minor, so he can't play senior intercounty until next year. He couldn't even play. This will be his first year even playing senior with Turlock Moore. Will it? Yeah, he'd be able to play club senior with Turlock Moore. Clarenbridge, sorry, yeah.
Unless he transfers, that won't go down well.
No, definitely not. But he would be seen as a massive player for Clarenbridge, despite his age this year. Like some of the things he's done at underage level. I remember watching him even in a club under 20 game last year. He just puts up massive scores. Be very interesting to see in a couple of years who hits frees for Clarenbridge between him and his brother, and even potentially at county level in a couple of years he will be hitting frees between the two of them.
Yeah, because Evan he started the season well. Pat Mulhall says already player availability. There's way more on the NFL than in hurling. Qualification for Sam Maguire is on the line. jeopardy. James West says Luke Crowley, Kerry, 19 years of age, son of Johnny Crowley, probably 1 year with the hurling team before he moves to the football panel. He's also part of the Kerry under-20s as well. Cork then. There's a lot of players. Every year it feels like you could list out a whole host of players with Cork because they're doing so well at under-20 level in particular. But some of the players, you would have seen them against Clare recently, didn't you? And like Robbie Cotter, Brian Saunderson in the goals. Ben Cunningham, of course, is somebody we're really expecting to see in the league this year. And the under-20 captain from last year, Micheál Mullins.
There's definitely no shortage of guys anyway, is there? Like you could pull out 6 or 7 lads here potentially that are going to make an impact. Saunderson in goals, I think, is a good keeper. I think he's going to be a live option for them. Maybe this year, but definitely next year anyway, or in the years going forward. Robbie Cotter hit 4 against Clare in that game. Small, kind of diminutive forward. Ben Cunningham's probably the opposite of that. He's probably about 6'2", big, kind of rangy player, good free taker as well. Is he the most realistic person potentially to take over from Patrick Horgan on the place balls?
Is he only 6'2"? Only 6'2", but he looks about 6'4", 6'5" to me.
Yeah, well, he came out of Parky Rin the other day, and I didn't think he was 6'4" anyway. He looked around 6. I didn't. I wouldn't come off well in that one now. Go 1-on-1 with the great one. No, he's definitely 6 foot plus, probably anything between 6'2" and 6'4", but I thought he was about 6'2", but he was very good in that 20 final last year. He was very good in that whole campaign. He's someone that maybe could come in maybe around the half-forward line. Micheál Mullins probably maybe more in defence, probably around maybe half-back potentially as well, but there's no shortage of lads there. It's in one way it's a great thing to have. In another way, like how many of them will actually start this year? It's kind of hard to know really. It's Cunningham's first year senior, Saunderson's first year, Cotter's first year, Mullins' first year. I don't know.
Put my neck on the block. I'd say Ben Cunningham could start this year. Out of all of them, he'd be the one that I'd say, yeah, I'd give him a right good chance.
He's the most likely, I would say, yeah. And he offers them something a bit different. He's a good ball winner as well. Lots of pace, lots of power. And with Declan Dalton out for a while, I think it was metatarsal, he did that against Clare. There's going to be opportunities. But again, he's another guy that's playing Fitzgibbon as well, so he'd have to be kind of managed at this time too. A lot of those guys mightn't see too much league time or might be juggling at the minute, just with the fact that they're playing Fitzgibbon and trying to manage county as well.
Understand. Dublin?
Yeah, there's lots of them at Dublin. You've probably seen some of them maybe at closer quarters than me, like the likes of Donald Levy, who you're involved with Nave Olaf this year. Brian Hayes, like unbelievable pace around the middle of the field. I just watched back that Dublin Galway game from the Walsh Cup from last weekend. I watched back over the weekend there. They just got a ball at one stage. And I forget who it was he burnt, but he properly burnt him. A seasoned enough kind of Galway player. Dermot O'Dooling, very, very good player as well. You might know a bit more about Dara Power, Davy Keogh as well, but they've got lots of just the nature of the fact that so many experienced players left Micheál Donoghue's squad. He's kind of maybe had to throw a lot of new kind of faces in, so they're kind of like Cork in a way without maybe the underage success. They've got a lot of names that are just kind of waiting to make their mark at senior level. Yeah,
actually, so there are plenty of players there for Dublin as well, and I expect Dara Purcell to have a big year this year. That this could be the year where he nails down that starting spot throughout the year. Galway then, Declan McLaughlin, we kind of mentioned him last week. I can see him being good. Do you think that when he's up against the Sean O'Donoghue type player, that it might be a different story and he might find, how he was very good against Dublin? That was Parnell Park, dirty day, and I saw that as an extra reason to praise him because he's a smaller profile type player and the ball stuck to him in those conditions. But maybe, again, it's levels and come up against Sean O'Donoghue, etc., and Sean Finn. It's not going to be as easy.
Yeah, you're going to get wrestled, even coming up against someone like Mikey Butler, who you're probably not going to burn for pace. That'd be a real interesting duel. That's probably going to happen in the Leinster Championship at some stage. Mightn't happen at the start of a game, but could happen in the last 20 minutes. I just think, I think at county level, you're generally, a lot of time, you're not going to be that much faster than anybody. Everybody's up to a fair level, particularly on that inside line. You're coming up against he's going to come up against the cream of defenders. Even like, I don't think he'd survive on Paddy Burke. Like, I think Paddy Burke at the minute, like, but it'll remain to be seen. But like Paddy Burke, who was able to keep Owen Cody very quiet when Antrim played Kilkenny last year. It's just there are levels to it now. But like if they're able to give him lovely ball in front of him and his touch is lightning, it's just going to be very, very difficult. It's very difficult. How do you get away? You don't really get away from Mikey Butler or Sean Finn or Paddy Burke and these lads. So I think there's still a fair bit to go for Declan McLaughlin now to get to that level. But there's definitely been glimpses and flashes that there's something there, all right.
I'm wondering, is Tiernan Killeen going to have his big year this year? Like Gavin Lee isn't a new player per se, but he'd be another one. So Galway have Sean O'Hanlon is another one that's impressed me at times. So they have players that can take that step up. And then we'll move on to Kilkenny's young guns. Our players that are going to emerge this year. Conor Heary is one that you've kind of plumbed for a lot when we've been talking about the 2024 year. And Owen Guilfoyle has been getting lots of game time lately and doing quite well. Kevin Blanchfield seems to have been laying down a bit of a marker also. And Derek Ling has been trying players far and wide. He is looking for hurlers. So there's definitely an opening. He's looking for lads to step up.
Oh, big time. I think Conor Heary is obviously, he's not like 20 or anything like that, but he definitely comes into this category. You have a lad that started cornerback against Tipperary last year in the league. He's probably going to start wing forward, in league games over the coming weeks and months, and potentially could be a championship starter. So I think it's okay to put him into that bracket as a young kind of player to watch. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't start for Kilkenny, just given he has a lot of assets that they don't have. And if you're looking at what do you need in a modern inter-county player, just take skill out of it for a second. What do you need in a modern inter-county player? Physically imposing, fast, strong, robust. And that's without taking his hurling ability into it. So I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make a mark. And anything I've seen of Kevin Blanchfield has been good. And he was Kilkenny's best player in the second half against Wexford in the Walsh Cup the week before last as well. So yeah, he's a good chance of making a mark too, as do a couple of the Thomastown boys. I don't know if the two Donnellys are in, Robbie and Stephen, but they were John's younger brothers, but they were both very good in Thomastown's run to the All-Ireland Intermediate as well. So, and Zach Bay Hammond is in there as well, who played with Thomastown too. So Derek Ling has shown an appetite to give as many chances as people want, and it's just some certain lads are going to put their hands up. Definitely think if Conor Heary gets a chance, he'd take it.
And Limerick then, take your pick. Adam English, Colin Coughlin, Shane O'Brien, Aidan O'Connor, Fergal O'Connor, they would probably be the ones that, would be talked about most. Tipperary, from what I've seen, the ones that, seem to be getting a nice bit of game time. Sean Kennelly, he was playing a lot in the Munster Hurling League. Andrew Ormond, as I mentioned in the Dillon Quirk game, he showed well, and he's not all that long back from a cruciate injury. So, it's probably a belated chance for him to nail down some sort of a starting spot. Danny Slattery is a guy who was on the under-20s last year at cornerback. He's now playing cornerback this year as well, has a lot of speed. And if there was one place where I'd be saying I'd be a little bit concerned about Tipperary, it's getting extra lads to sort of, like, there's a huge amount of options from probably 5 forwards, but it's 2, 3, 4. You may have to convert lads from other areas to play there, or there aren't that many obvious ones. There's a couple of good ones, but there's not massive depth.
It's gas how hurling has changed, but that they're still such specialist positions, aren't they? No, Barry Nash is trying to change the role or whatever, but you need 3 to 4 really fit, fast, tight marking kind of defenders who are also good on the ball. And it's very, very difficult. I don't know about you, but I've seen lads converted from wing back to cornerback down through the years, and it just doesn't work because it's a complete shift of mind. You go from wing back. What's one of your primary roles as a wing back? Say 2. You need to be good under the puck out, and you need to be a good striker, generally. A cornerback, you might be striking the ball 30 yards. That might be the most you strike it in a given day. And it's basically your primary function is to stop. And be a stopper. So that's why it's still so specialist. And that's why I would say, even when you were mentioning the Limerick names there, with Sean Finn only coming back from the cruciate, I'd say Fergal O'Connor is someone that will get a good run, and Richie English only coming back from a cruciate as well. They're fairly short of those options. What have we got? Aaron Costello, Dan Morrissey, Mike Casey, Fergal O'Connor, Barry Nash. Do you know what I mean? So there's probably, it's easy probably look at the attackers and say, oh, Shane O'Brien will make an impact, but will he get that many chances to make an impact? Do you know what I mean? Whereas there might be something there for Fergal O'Connor, particularly even coming on in the last 10, 15 minutes of games when lads pick up knocks or there's someone on a yellow or something like that. So he's someone now that I think could see a good bit of game time and could come on in championship games this year.
Yeah, we've already kind of mentioned some of the Wexford players that could make an impact this year.
Just one Shane that we didn't, and it's really interesting. He's not actually young, but it's his first year of inter-county. Aaron Duggan, the Wexford keeper yesterday, Kilkenny man, playing with Wexford. Yes, he played with Dixborough in the 2012 county final, and played with Dixborough the whole way up. I think maybe when Dara Houlihan broke through on the scene, he kind of maybe usurped him as number one for Dixborough. But he's marrying in, I think, to Wexford family. He played the county final for Aldgate Glenbrine last year, was very, very good, and was very good yesterday. So you have a scenario next weekend where you could have Kilkenny man who played minor and captain Kilkenny under 21 and played for Kilkenny footballers togging out against his native county. So that doesn't happen. Like, that definitely doesn't happen every day of the week. It's like Wexford transferring to Kilkenny or vice versa. It's like Tip transferring to Kilkenny or vice versa. Like Dennis Byrne is the only one that we're really aware of. So that's a little kind of an interesting side note going into the weekend. I think he's probably about 30, but it's his first year playing inter-county senior.
Well, in the goals.
Yeah.
But sure, I suppose he could do it for another 10 years if he turns out to be particularly good at it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. You obviously had Mark Fanning back on the Wexford panel and James Lawler, who played all the championship games last year. But in fairness, Duggan was very, very good yesterday. So he got his chance, probably took it. Interesting to see whether he starts now next weekend. Be a good crack for him now, playing in Nolan Park of all places against Kilkenny.
Yeah, well, at least he'll know the environment well. There'll be nothing surprising him there. And Waterford then, some of the players that have stood out to me, Shamie Fitzgerald, who's brother of Pádraig Fitzgerald, the Kilrossenty version now, not the Ballygunner one. Sean Walsh, who's kind of, in the games I've seen, wearing number 14, coming out the field foraging, looking for ball. Ruben O'Halloran, a player that we've kind of seen a nice bit for Delasal in the last couple of years, and, looks a fair old unit. He'd be another one. So I think we've touched on every county at Liam McCarthy at this level, at this stage. So get your comments in if there's anyone we've missed.